My name's Eric Aue. I've been at Grace for about going on a year, close to that. 2 years ago at Easter, I remember sitting at the table with my mom, and at that point in time I had just completely lost my faith. I didn't believe in God anymore, and I hadn't for a while. I think I hadn't been going to church for quite a while. I was raised in church when I was younger. All growing up, Mom had me in church every weekend, and whenever I got old enough to start making my own decisions and moved out of Mom's house, that was one of the things I stopped doing. So I had lost that part of me for quite a while, and we were sitting at the table on Easter when just her and I, and we were chit-chatting, and I forget exactly how it came up, but yeah, at that point I had just told her, Mom, I don't believe in God. I just don't, and I'm really sorry. I know it upset you, but it's just something I can't believe in, and I don't believe in anymore. And she was upset, obviously, but we went on about our business, and she never stopped staying on me about that. I mean, every chance she would get, she would throw scripture my way. We'd be in the car driving places together. She'd always have K-Love on. I never stopped getting that from her, but I really resented it. It would bother me, and I would tell her, quit preaching to me, like, you know where I stand on this, but she never backed off. She really didn't. We did that for quite a while. It was a couple years of that, going back and forth and that. So I had been with my wife for quite a while, and about a year ago, things started going really bad. Our relationship was falling apart. Neither one of us had a very strong relationship with God, if at all. We had gotten to a point where we were separated and planning on divorce. That's not a good situation to be in, to have 2 small children and be getting a divorce. And I had made some bad choices. She was not happy with her life either, and it was just really starting to butt up against us and causing a lot of tension between us. And I feel like the lowest of the low I got was when we really separated, when it was like, okay, get your stuff, like, we're separating, and I moved out. I had the kids every other day, she had the kids every other day, so we were kind of doing that routine. Everything I could think about, everything I would do, I had this weight on me all the time. I could not be happy. I'm sure I wasn't pleasant to be around, which I'm sure was causing lots of problems in my marriage and my family life. And even with my friends, like, they started to feel the anxiety I was dealing with and going through. So I didn't want to be divorced. I didn't want to lose my wife and my kids, but that's the road we were going down. I was staying at my parents' house, and they were at our house, obviously. So in doing that, when you've got 2 babies and you've got to take them and they've got to sleep in a different bed every night, one night they're here, the next night they're there, that's not easy on them, and just the coming and going and the uncertainty of being at your house, sitting on your couch every night with your family, it was gone. It was all new every day. We tried to make the best of it, but at that point I was so down on myself and just depressed that it was hard to even enjoy my time when I had them, because I was in such a bad place emotionally. Many nights that I would just be crying. I'm just sad, depressed, physically in a ball on the floor, just like crying my eyes out, just being up all night long, unable to sleep from thinking about what's going to happen in the future, thinking about the idea of my kids having a stepdad somewhere down the road. There was nowhere else to go from there. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to solve anything by myself. There was no one else around me who was going to be able to help me out with these problems. God was the only person who was going to save me at this point. Mom said, you've got to start coming to church with me, and you've got to start praying, because that's the only thing that's going to get you through this one way or the other, is to start believing in again, and God can help you through this. So reluctantly, I started coming to church. She started bringing me in, and I had been to Grace. I've been here, my parents have been coming here for years, and there's been lots of times I've been at Grace, but when I used to come, usually it was special occasions like Easter or Christmas service or something like that going on, and I'd come just to make mom happy, okay, mom, I'll go with you this weekend, sure. But when I would get here, I would just sit, and in my mind, I couldn't focus on what Pastor Wayne or Pastor Matthias or Pastor Tim were saying. It was, I was more trying to prove wrong in my head what was going on. It was like I couldn't focus, and I just kept thinking to myself, this is bogus, this is not true, you know what I mean? Before, I thought I was above everything else and that I was smarter than everyone else, and that none of this was ever going to happen to me. But when it does, and you're at the lowest of your low, where else do you have to go? At first, when I started coming back, I still had those walls built up. It was still hard for me to sit through church and be engaged. But, a couple of weeks in, maybe a month in of coming every week, I began to let those walls down. And every week after week after week, I started taking more of it in. And then, I started to feel better inside. I started feeling better. I started not being so depressed and not have so much anxiety. And things started kind of getting better. And that's when I really started feeling and seeing things happen between the two of us. Not long after I started coming, my wife had called me and said, hey, you need to come by. We need to talk. And at this point, I was sure that this conversation's like, okay, here's what we're doing. This is going to be the divorce papers. This is what we're doing. And it wasn't. I went over that night, and she sat down with me, and she said, I'm really proud of you for doing the things you're doing. I can tell that you're really working on yourself, and I want to start coming to church with you and your family, and I want the kids to start coming. I think it started to help me maybe get a little bit more happy in my life at that point, and I think that my wife could see that, and then she wanted to be here too. But the more we came, the more we started singing the songs, and the more we started listening to what was being preached, and then we started taking it with us, and we started implementing it into our day-to-day life. And that was really breaking those walls down that I had built for so many years to keep things out. The walls were coming down, and a lot of good stuff was pouring in from that. My entire family has gotten into Freedom Group. My sister and my wife do one. I'm by myself. Mom and Dad are doing their other. But we can talk about that together as a family. When we go out and we go eat, we talk about, what'd you guys do? What'd you talk about in your Freedom Group? We work on those things together. We talk about our weekly lessons, and we just are starting to base our family now. Instead of it just being mom and dad with God, now it's all of us. We're more happy than we've ever been. Our kids are growing up, and they're happy, and they're growing up with both of us in the house. And, we've got God with us now, and He's just touching every aspect of our life. It's just been nothing but good things. From that point, we put everything aside that was happening to us before, and we started to build our relationship around God. And that has been the game changer.